Hey there everyone, what's up? Back today to show you some stuff I bought because that's what we do here on YouTube, I guess. So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos and I have a lot of stuff, but there's probably more stuff that I'm just forgetting. I don't really put this stuff aside. I'm not like all prepared and stuff for this kind of thing. So normally, normally it's not a lot of stuff and I can kind of like remember it, but this time I forgot a bunch of stuff and it's all like filed away in whatever places. So no, it's not complete, but here's a bunch of stuff I bought. So we're gonna start from oldest to newest, I guess, because it's always how I do it. But we are gonna look at some stuff, and we're gonna start with the old PC Engine. And the first game we're gonna talk about is this is Shiryo Sensen, also known as War of the Dead. This is a kind of horror action RPG. It's pretty good, actually. This is a game I used to own and I traded away. And recently I thought, yeah, I kind of want to play that again, so picked it back up. It's like a post-apocalyptic horror RPG. You can't really. That's like two of my favorite things combined into one. This is like a really great RPG, actually. Um, yeah, good stuff. Shiryo Sensen. Continuing on with the horror RPG theme. We've got La Place Noire. This is Laplace's Demon in English, and I believe there's a Super Nintendo version, but it's the inferior version compared to the PC Engine version because this one is a first-person dungeon crawler. The Super Nintendo one is not. And the only downside is that, this is a Japanese-only release. The Super Famicom version is also Japanese-only, but I believe there is a fan translation. So if you don't mind playing the inferior version, you can, you can play that one and, kind of experience a cool horror RPG, a cool 16-bit horror RPG. And there aren't that many, but the ones that there are mostly on the PC Engine, I want to say, because it was a bit more lax and a bit less family friendly, I guess, than the Super Famicom was. But yeah, this is a great RPG, actually. Like I said, the PC Engine one is a first-person dungeon crawler, so it's more up my alley than the third-person one on the Super Famicom. Next, we've got. This is Auto Crusher Palladium. This is a kind of mech build and battle type of game. It's not the thing I would normally buy, but actually I found that one of the guys who goes to the kind of gaming event that I go to every month or so actually made this game. I was mentioning that, next time I come to this event, I'm going to bring my PC Engine, so we'll hook it up to the projector and we can, play Bonk's Adventure or whatever. And, one of the guys was like, oh yeah, I made a game for the PC Engine. And I was like, oh really? What game? This one. So I figured it would be nice to pick it up and bring it to the event. So that's what I did. I got this. Next we've got a battle simulation game, and I've got a lot of these, and it's almost like a theme in this one because I picked up a lot of these recently. Recently, I don't know if I mentioned this, I bought a new PC Engine recently to replace my previously broken one, and yeah, I went back and I started playing a bunch of these old strategy games, and I realized, like, man, I gotta get some more strategy games. So I started picking up more and more of them. And this one I got is Schwarzschild 2. Schwarzschild is a kind of space battle simulation. It's a kind of a strategy simulation game. So good stuff. I mean, I actually own the first one, which is why I bought the second one, because I played the first one, this one, Schwarzschild, and it's Super Schwarzschild, sorry, but anyway, this is a good series and it's a good game, and if you're a fan of space battle or battle simulation games like I am, like Military Madness, Nectaris, or some others, you'll be pretty excited about Schwarzschild. I don't know if this is on any other systems. I don't think it is, but this is kind of a must-have series on the PC Engine if you're a fan of strategy games. But yeah, that's it for the PC Engine. But we're going to move on to the Sega Saturn, where I got another battle strategy game, and that is Master of Monsters. And Master of Monsters is actually an older game. I actually have it on the PC Engine. And I believe there's also a Mega Drive version, but I've never played that one. But I have played it on the PC Engine, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And when I found out there was a Saturn remake, I thought, well, I gotta buy that because, you know, the first one is great, and the Saturn one has much better graphics. And it's essentially the same game with much better graphics, so I can't really complain. That's pretty much what I was expecting. And yeah, so from now on, when I play Master of Monsters, it'll be on the Saturn instead of on the PC Engine. That's it's like an upgrade. Yeah, so that was it for the Saturn. Not a ton of stuff, I don't think. Oh, maybe I did get some other stuff. I'm looking up at my shelf on the other side of the room, and it's I can see stuff that I got, but it was like an upgrade to another thing. It was Langrisser. I got like the special edition of Langrisser 4. It's got like a pin set in it, but whatever. I have the original version anyway, so you don't have to see that. Anyway, I got a bunch of PlayStation 1 games here. PlayStation 1, recently I bought a bunch of stuff for it. It's not like one of the main systems I collect for, but, you know, there's so many good games on it that it's hard to not collect for it. And there was this kind of sale going on where, like, if you bought, like, the more games you bought, the bigger discount you would get. So it was, like, up to a certain number, you would get 50% off. So it was like, if you bought one game, you got 10% off. If you got two games, you got 20% and up to 50% from then. So I bought 5 games for the PlayStation 1 in that sale. But, you know, I actually have more than that because I bought a couple more separately at a different time. But the first one part of that sale was Tornico no Daiboken 2, which is... I don't know the guy's name in English, but he's the shopkeeper from Dragon Quest. And this is a mystery dungeon game that's a roguelike. And I'm not a fan of Dragon Quest, really. I mean, that's not fair. I don't hate Dragon Quest or anything. I don't dislike Dragon Quest. It's just not for me, I guess. But I do like roguelikes, and I don't really care that the characters are Dragon Quest characters if it's a good roguelike. And the early mystery dungeon games are really good roguelikes, so can't go wrong with this, I guess. Another one in that sale was Kagero, and Kagero is Tecmo's Deception. I'm not sure which number this is. It might be the first, but because the PlayStation 1 games in Japanese have like a bunch of different names instead of numbers, it's hard to tell. Just off the top of my head anyway. But yeah, Kagero is good stuff. I like this game a lot. It doesn't ever get old for me, just setting down traps and dropping people into an infinite loop trap or whatever. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. And I'm glad that they decided to continue the series recently on the Vita. Or the PS3 also, I guess. But, you know, everyone bought it on the Vita. If you're me, at least. If everyone counts as me. And it does. So yeah. Next we've got Clock Tower 2. Clock Tower 2 is a rebuy. I'm not actually sure what happened to my copy of Clock Tower 2. I must have traded it or something because I know I had it. I know I used it in a video. I mean, if you go back, there's a video where I used it. So I don't know. But yeah, so I got it again. I must have traded it. That's like the only thing I can think of. But again, this was really cheap. So it's just a replacement for my lost copy of Clock Tower 2 or traded copy, whatever happened to it. This isn't the last. This is the fourth game out of the 5 that I got in that sale. This is Tearing Saga. Tearing Saga is essentially a PS1 version of Fire Emblem. And I say that because it's made by the creator of Fire Emblem, and the characters are essentially Fire Emblem characters. I mean, this look at the main character here. If you can see it, if he had blue hair, he would be Marth. There's like almost no difference. And apparently he originally had blue hair, and they changed it because they were like, "Oh, this is too much of a ripoff." And it didn't stop Nintendo from suing them though. And Nintendo lost, but they put out this game. But yeah, it's essentially Fire Emblem on the PS1. Next we've got, this is the last one I got out of that sale. I could have gotten more, but there wasn't really a ton of stuff at the shop that I wanted. But this one was like a great find for me. It's not like it might be a rare game or a kind of uncommon game because I'd never seen it before. But it's not an expensive game at all. And but this game, it's King of Producer. And King of Producer here, I thought it was going to be like a TV show simulation game where you'd like make TV shows and try and like if you've ever seen that Weird Al Yankovic movie UHF, I thought it would be like a simulation game based on that. When I first saw it, when I looked at the cover, it looks like that, but it's actually not. It's a game development simulation, so like you're a game producer and you're making games. So if you've ever played the Kairosoft game on the PC or iPhone, what is it? Game Dev Story. It's a lot like that actually, but on the PS1. So I can always go for more of these kind of game devs simulators. I love these things, and I love simulation games, so I couldn't pass this up when I saw it. I was like really excited when I found this. So it was really cheap, but a great find for me, I think. But continuing on with the PS1 non-sale stuff. This is Velda Selva Senki. It's a kind of like a cross between a kind of aerial dogfighting game, something like a Crimson Skies or something like that, but with a kind of visual novel story element going on for it. It's a kind of interesting. I'm not like a huge fan of those kind of flight games, but it was kind of an interesting concept, and I thought, well, I'll pick it up because maybe it'll be fun. And I put a little bit of time into it. It's all right. It's not like it's interesting at least. The 2D art in it and stuff is really nice looking actually, and this kind of cities that you visit and stuff, they're really nice. But I'm not a huge fan of the aerial dogfighting thing, so I didn't like really put a ton of time into it. But I put a bit of time into it just to check it out, and it was pretty cool. Next we've got Black Matrix Double Zero, and this is a remake of Black Matrix Zero on the Game Boy Advance, but on the PS1. And it's actually, interestingly enough, this game is apparently the last game released on the PS1 in Japan, except for maybe a couple of re-releases, like best hits or whatever versions. So that's pretty interesting. But Black Matrix is a kind of it's a really interesting strategy RPG. There's also Black Matrix on a bunch of systems. The original one is on the Saturn, and there's like Black Matrix Cross on the PlayStation 1, and Black Matrix Advance on the Dreamcast, and Black Matrix Zero on the Game Boy Advance, and Black Matrix Double Zero on the PS1. But yeah, this is a pretty good strategy RPG series, and this was the last one I needed to get all of them. Oh, there's also Black Matrix 2 on the PS2. So yeah, it's a good series, and it was kind of hard to find that one. It took me a long time to find it, but it wasn't expensive, so that's a bonus. And the last PS1 game here is it's another RPG, but this is, let me look at it here because I can't read the name. Chou Mashin Eiyuden Wataru, Another Step. And Wataru is a manga anime character that was popular in Japan, but the original game for this series that I played was Keith Courage and Alpha Zones on the TurboGrafx, and this is apparent. Like when I look at these characters, they're essentially the same as the Keith Courage characters. Like, obviously not drawn the same in the manuals and stuff, but the in-game characters are essentially the same. So when I look at these characters, I don't know them. I never saw the manga. I mean, the anime or the manga, but I don't care. I just look at it and I think it's a Keith Courage RPG. I gotta pick that up. So I did put a little bit of time into this, and it's surprisingly good. Like, I didn't expect it to be all that good because it's kind of like a licensed game. But playing it, I don't know any of the characters or the story or anything, but so I don't really know like the background of it. But when I started playing it, like it's got a kind of unique battle system, and it's also has like this kind of nice looking overworld that you're like, when you're wandering around the towns and stuff, everything looks really nice. It's kind of colorful, and the sprites are pretty crisp looking. It's a really nice looking game. So eventually I'll probably play through the whole thing. But yeah, this was like I was pretty happy to find this just because I was thinking like, oh, it's Keith Courage RPG. I gotta get that. So continuing on, let's see. After the PS1, we've got Dreamcast. So I got some Dreamcast games here, and I know I was saying like when I did the Dreamcast video recently, I was saying that I have almost all the stuff I want for the Dreamcast, but there are a few things that I still don't have, and this is a good chunk of them. There are still a couple of games left that I'm interested in for the Dreamcast, but for the most part, this was a good chunk of the stuff that I had left. So we'll start with this one. We've got this is Mercurius Pretty. It's a raising sim, so you're raising a homunculus to, I don't know, to raise it, I guess. I saw this actually play in a Playongo video, and I thought, oh, that looks cool. I'll definitely pick that up. And I did. This one took a little effort to find, actually. Initially, I went out to search for it, thinking like, oh, it should be easy to find, and then I couldn't find it anywhere. And then, I put in like a special order for it at the place where I usually buy games, and it took them a while to track it down. So it wasn't expensive either. It's not like pretty much everything I've shown so far is not really expensive. The most expensive thing was probably Laplace's Demon, but yeah, that one wasn't expensive. It was just kind of hard to find. After that, though, we've got this. This is Espion Agents. This is a game that I enjoy that most people hated. This also came out in English on the Dreamcast as, I'm not sure, Industrial Spies or something. It's something like that, though. I'm not sure if that's actually the name, but it is something like Industrial Spies, I think it is. But this game, it got destroyed by critics like when it came out. I remember I had this originally when it was out in the Dreamcast, and man, this game is like, I think it got killed, like totally destroyed, because it wasn't what people expected it to be. It's not even like, even looking at the box, it's not what you expect it to be, because when you play it, you think, oh, I'm gonna be these guys running around this building like stealthily and finding stuff and escaping, and it's gonna be this kind of cool action thing. But it's not. It's a lot more like a strategy game than a kind of action stealth game. So what you're doing is like you're not actually controlling the characters in the building. You're just giving them orders. So you order them to go these places and they'll do it. So essentially you're like the mastermind behind the Espion agents here. You're giving them their orders and they move about by your orders. So it's a lot less you doing the action, and it's more like the computer does all the action, you just give them the orders. And I like that kind of game. I think it's a lot of fun because it involves a lot more thinking than kind of reflexes and action. And that's the kind of thing I enjoy. So I really like this game, except, you know, it must be cheap. I could assume that you could get this really cheap on the Dreamcast because it got awful reviews. I remember it getting awful reviews and like being shocked. But if you read the reviews, they're all like it's boring and there's not enough action and whatever. But it's not that kind of game. It just looks like that kind of game. So I don't know. Next, we've got another Dreamcast game. This is Advanced Dai Senryaku, and this series, you might know it. On the Saturn, one of these games got released in English as Metal Storm. Not Metal Storm, Iron Storm. Iron Storm, it's a hardcore kind of military simulation, battle simulation. And it's part of this series, and this series is like, got so many games. It's like every system you can think of has one. And yeah, this is one of the Dreamcast versions. There is another Dreamcast version, Advanced Daisen Ryaku 2001, I think it is. But that one's pretty expensive for some reason, and this one is not. And I don't need all of these games in the series. There are so many of them, and they all kind of handle different areas of different types of battles and different areas of battling, I guess. But this one I'm pretty excited to get into it. But I got a ton of strategy games recently, so the Dreamcast one, I haven't even touched this one yet. But eventually I will. I have this Super Daisen Yaku on the TurboGrafx, or not the TurboGrafx, PC Engine, same thing, whatever. But yeah, I haven't played the Dreamcast one yet. I also had it on the Saturn originally when I was in the US, so I like those games. I like that recently one came out on the PSP like 2 weeks ago or something. I haven't picked it up yet. I'm just gonna wait for the price to go down, but I probably will get it on the latest one on the PSP. And lastly, for the Dreamcast, we've got this one was like one of the ones that was on the more expensive range of Dreamcast games that I wanted, but it's also like one that I really wanted to play. It's an Atlas RPG made, exclusively for the Dreamcast. This is Desperia. Desperia was a game that I played through nefarious means back in the day. Like, I just, I had a CDR of it, and it looks really cool. And I would play it, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I couldn't read Japanese at the time, and it was kind of a thing where, like, it was always in the back of my mind as like, I wonder what the hell that was happening in that game and what was it about, because it looked really cool. But I never really got into it, and I just figured now that I got a Dreamcast again, I gotta get this. So I got Desperia, and yeah, good stuff. You can't go wrong with this. It's kind of like a first person dungeon crawler, kind of. It's not exactly like that though. The battles are first person though, and you kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You kind of go inside people's heads and stuff. There's like a weird mechanic. I haven't put a ton of time into it yet, but eventually I'm gonna get through this. I'll probably put up an impressions video for this once I finish it, because it is kind of a lesser known game, but it's also a pretty good game, so maybe people would like to hear about it. Let's see. We've got some stuff also for the PSP. We got 2 games for the PSP. First, we got Senritsu no Storatas, this is, I guess it's known as the Terror of Stratus, maybe Terror of the Stratus. I'm not sure what the English is, but yeah, this game is a kind of like a mix between like a shooter and a side-scrolling beat 'em up at times. I don't really know how to explain it. It's a little um, unique. It reminds me of like a side-scrolling beat 'em up with guns at points, and then kind of like a shooter at other points. I saw this and I thought like it looks kind of interesting. I'm not like hyped about the setting for it or anything, but the I just checked out some videos for it and I thought, oh, it looks pretty cool. I'll actually buy that, and so I did. And secondly, on the PSP, I've got Blood Bowl, and Blood Bowl was actually sent to me by Sega of My House, who I'll link his channel below. Anthony has sent me this out of the goodness of his heart, and yeah, that's pretty awesome because I actually did show this, I think maybe in my last video on the 360, but I was saying like, oh, I really wanted the PSP version, but I settled for the 360 version because I couldn't find the PSP version, and yeah, so I got this sent to me, which was awesome. I'm so excited about it. And Blood Bowl is the kind of game that I think people wouldn't like. It's another kind of strategy game, but it looks like it would be like an action football game, but it's a strategy football game. I mean, it's like a turn-based strategy football game. And it's based on a board game that I used to play when I was in junior high. So it's the kind of thing that I actually enjoy, the board game, the actual miniature battle Blood Bowl. And it was the kind of thing that, you know, I couldn't ever get anybody to play it because, like, whenever we'd have time to play it, people would want to play something else, like actual Warhammer or 40K or something instead of this. Even, what's it called? Space Hulk got more play than Blood Bowl. Nobody ever wanted to play Blood Bowl over the other ones. But I like Blood Bowl, so now I don't have to have people to play with. PSP version. Yeah, so continuing on, we've got, let's see, we got a bunch of stuff for the Vita here this time. I think I got, what, 5 games for the Vita? 5 games, but I've talked about most of these already, so it's not like you guys don't know that I have them. Yeah, I'll just go through these quick because, you know, again, I have impressions videos for half of these. First we've got Ore no Shikabane yo Kote Yuke 2, or Ore Shika 2. This is, you know, I have an impressions video up. Check it out. It's good. I liked this game a lot, actually. I don't think it's as good as the first game, but it's not bad at all. It's just changed to a point that's like a little bit less good. It's not like I don't like find any of the changes horrible. Like, 'cause some people really hated them, but I didn't find them horrible. I just think the original way was better. But this is a good game. When it comes out in English, it's coming eventually. Pick it up. It's good. But, you know, again, I have an impressions video. If you want to check out me ramble about it for a half hour or so, look in my past videos. Speaking of that, we've got another game, Lost Dimension here. Lost Dimension was... it's kind of like a cross between a kind of Danganronpa style kind of mystery type game, plus your kind of Valkyria Chronicles battle system. It's not as good as either of those games, but it's still a good game. It was a lot of fun, actually, and it's relatively short, but, you know, it's good. It doesn't overstay its welcome at all, and it kind of encourages multiple playthroughs to see the final ending. So it's a good game. If this comes out, you should definitely pick it up because I enjoyed it a lot, actually. And again, impressions video is up. This next one is Tokyo Shinsei Roku Operation Abyss. And this is a first-person dungeon crawler made by Experience, who also did Students of the Round and Demon Gaze. And this is actually a remake of Generation X 1 and 2 made into a single game. And it was good. It's good, but I didn't know it was a remake, actually. So it was a little disappointing in that aspect, but it was still good. I still played through the whole thing and enjoyed it. So definitely check out This, if you like first-person dungeon crawlers, it's kind of a cyberpunk dungeon crawler. It's not like a fantasy based, even though all the classes are essentially fantasy classes. But yeah, again, impressions video is already up for that. These next two I don't have impressions videos up for, so I can talk a little bit about them. Next we've got this is Shin Hayarigami. Hayarigami is a kind of horror visual novel series made by NIS. And the original one is, well, I think on the PS2 and then also on the PSP. But I played it on the PSP, and it's kind of a visual novel, kind of mystery based on urban legends. So, like, urban legend type creatures or monsters or things or murders happen in these kind of urban legend situations. And they're all kind of connected in some way, and you're this kind of like a detective trying to figure out what happened and how, to stop this kind of thing from happening. And this is a kind of reboot of the series, I guess. And it's also the first one to be Zero Z rated, which is like Japan's equivalent of an M rating. It's apparently really grotesque, more so than because there's overly adult situations or anything. But yeah, it's another in that similar vein. It's based on your kind of urban legends, and it's got gory deaths. So I haven't put a ton of time into this yet. It's still in my Vita, but I've been playing another game on the Vita recently, so haven't really touched this. But I'll talk about the other one later. Next we've got this is Jikyo Powerful Pro Yaku 2012. This is a baseball game. As I've mentioned before, I don't buy a ton of sports games, but every once in a while, like a baseball game that's not like a hardcore simulation baseball game. And so pretty much like the last baseball game I bought was Nicktoons MLB, if you can kind of figure out like the tone I'm going for my baseball games, but more arcadey, I guess. And I think this probably fits that. It's maybe in the middle, but it was really cheap, and I thought like, well, eventually I'm going to want to play a baseball game again, and it'll be nice to have one on the Vita, so I picked this up. So let's see, I've got 2 more games here before I'm done, and we've got, let's see, 1 game for the Wii U. I got this for the Wii U because I haven't used my Wii U for since like forever. So I figured I'd pick up this game because if this game isn't going to get me to play my Wii U, then pretty much nothing is going to get me to play my Wii U. But this is Yuga Gotoku 1 and 2 HD for Wii U. This is Yakuza 1 and 2 for the Wii U. And as a huge fan of the series, I figured I should pick up the HD release of it. It's also on the PS3, but it seems like it would be nice to have the map on the controller. So I got the Wii U version. So I can't really complain about this. It's not like a really good HD upgrade or anything, but well, who cares? Who cares, really? It's nice to have this game. The last game I got here is for the PS4, but this is Natural Doctrine. Natural Doctrine, I'm probably about, I don't know, 80% done with it, so I will put up an impressions video. But this is the Omochidashi pack, which is an interesting thing for this because this is the PS4 version. You can see it's it's got a manual and a disc, but it also came with a download code for the Vita version. So I've been playing it on the Vita mostly. I played it a bit on the PS4, but it looks crappy. It looks bad. Like it looks like an upscaled Vita game on the PS4. And when I played it on the Vita, it looks good, so I figured I'll just mostly play it on the Vita. You can easily like transfer the save between these games though, so sometimes when I'm like sitting in my living room and I'm like, yeah, I'll just play on the TV. But most of the time I'm just playing on the Vita. But I will go into this game a lot more because it is coming out for in North America in like a month or so. But I will talk about it more in that upcoming impressions video whenever I finish the game. It shouldn't be that long. I'm pretty close to the end, I think. But yeah, in short though, I'm really enjoying this. It's not even remotely like a strategy RPG. It's a lot more like a board game. That's how it feels. It feels like a strategy board game, and it kind of plays like a really complicated strategy board game that like um I don't it it's punishing. And like I'm playing on normal and it's hard. And it's not, I don't want to say it's like too hard. It doesn't feel too hard. But it's the kind of thing where like if you make one mistake, there's a good chance you've lost. Um, if you have a strategy and you kind of screw it up, you're done. You're like pretty much done. Um, and you'll find that like you'll be restarting levels in this all the time. And if that sounds frustrating to you, it's probably not a game you're going to want to play. But yeah, I will. I'll go way more in depth with it later on when I do my impressions video. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it. That's all the stuff I got to show you guys this time. So yeah, a bunch of stuff for a bunch of systems. And there's some other stuff that I have that I got that I'm looking over on my shelf right now that I know I have, but it's stuff I've already shown, like Shinsei Mokushiroku, and yeah, like I said, that Langrisser before, and I think I showed Black Matrix Zero on the Game Boy Advance. But whatever, I'm just looking at stuff on my shelf that's like a little out of place, so I'm wondering like why is it out of place? Probably because I was gonna talk about it, but whatever, not important. Anyway, that's about it. So I will see you guys next time.